So let us now discuss convergence of regular falsy method. In the earlier lecture, I talk about the convergence of bisection method and convergence of Newton-Raphson method. Convergence of bisection method is linear, whereas the convergence of Newton-Raphson method is quadratic. Now let us see that what happens to the convergence of regular falsy method. And let us recall iteration formula of regular falsy method. So what is it? It is xi plus 1. It must be equal to xi f of xi minus 1 minus xi minus 1 into f of xi whole divided by what? It is f of xi minus 1 minus f of xi. And what we are doing, we are estimating the zero of certain polynomial, and we are just approximating that value. But let us assume that for a given polynomial, f of x, let f of xi, it must be equal to 0, right? So that means this xi is the actual 0. It is actual 0 of the given polynomial. And say if xi is the estimated 0 of that polynomial, then it will incorporate some error into it, because it is little bit different than the actual 0. So it is xi plus epsilon I. It is the error in it. That means what is xi? This xi is the approximate 0 of fx, and epsilon I is the absolute error at ith step. So using this equation, I can write down epsilon I plus 1 means the difference in error. It also looks like this. So epsilon I plus 1, it must be equal to epsilon I f of xi epsilon I minus 1. It is the value of this one, right? Minus epsilon I minus 1 f of xi plus epsilon I whole divided by f of xi plus epsilon I minus 1 minus f of xi plus epsilon I. इसी तरह से मैंने इसको लिख लिया, but in terms of error, right? Now what should I do? Let us expand this part, and these parts using Taylor expansion. They can be expanded using Taylor expansion. So applying Taylor expansion. So if I apply Taylor expansion, what will happen? It is equal to epsilon I and Taylor expansion over this part, and the Taylor expansion over this part is epsilon I minus 1 f prime xi plus 1 by 2 epsilon I minus 1 square and f double prime xi and so on. Minus this will remain as it is epsilon I minus 1 and it is epsilon I f prime xi plus 1 by 2 epsilon I square and f double prime psi and so on, whole divided by their expansion again. So what it will be, it is epsilon I minus 1 f prime psi minus 1 plus 1 by 2 epsilon I minus 1 square f double prime psi plus and so on, then minus epsilon I extension of this, it is epsilon I f prime xi minus 1 by 2 epsilon I square f double prime psi. Simply expanded it. So negative will be here, so हर एक term अंदर जाके क्या हो जाएगी, it will be negative. So very simple. And let us modify it. Now let's do little algebra. So if I multiply this part with this part, it is epsilon I and epsilon I minus 1 f prime xi, and similarly it is epsilon I minus 1 and epsilon I, because it gets multiplied here. So that means these terms, when they get multiplied with it, they become identical, so that means they can cancel out. They will cancel out, right? So it is 1 by 2 epsilon I and epsilon I minus 1 square f double prime xi minus 1 by 2 epsilon I minus 1 epsilon I square and f double prime xi. And what I did, we neglected higher order terms and so on. So higher order terms, see, they can be neglected. Higher order terms neglected, right? So that's what will happen. And what happens to the denominator? Here we have also ignored higher order terms also, because it's a square and square is also sitting here. They can be neglected. So what will happen to the denominator? It is f prime xi. अंदर क्या बचेगा? It's inside it will epsilon I minus 1 and minus epsilon I, right? So it is equal to 1 by 2 epsilon I and epsilon I minus 1 common, and inside, and f double prime xi is also common, and inside it will be epsilon I minus 1 epsilon I divided by f prime psi and epsilon I minus 1 minus epsilon I, so it will cancel out. Plus the terms containing higher order, they can be neglected. We are not worried about that. So it's equal to 1 by 2 f double prime psi over f prime xi into epsilon I and epsilon I minus 1, right? So what we are getting now, we are getting that epsilon I plus 1 is equal to 1 by 2 f double prime xi over f prime xi into epsilon I and epsilon I minus 1. That's what we are getting now. And let us call this as some constant. Let us call it as some constant. So epsilon I plus 1 is equal to some constant epsilon I and epsilon I minus 1. And epsilon I minus 1 somewhere depending upon epsilon I. What is our purpose? Our purpose that how epsilon I plus 1 is relating to epsilon I raised to power m. We are interested to find out this m. Our purpose is to find out this, and this tells us the order of convergence. So this is my objective. So let us do a little trick of mathematics. Say, let me assume that epsilon I plus 1 is equal to a epsilon I m. That is my assumption. This is my assumption. And when I do this, then, and if I try to look at these two terms, we can conclude that epsilon I plus 1, it can be either written as a epsilon I raised to power m, or it must be equal to k epsilon I and k epsilon I minus 1. Right? And as I know that epsilon I plus 1 is equal to a epsilon I m, and epsilon I plus 1 over a, it can be written as epsilon I raised to power m. Or from here, I can write down epsilon I is equal to epsilon I plus 1 over a raised to power 1 over m. So, now I got the idea. What was the idea? Idea is that if I use this recursion relation, using this recursion relation, I can write down epsilon I minus 1 is equal to epsilon I over a raised to power 1 over m. So let us try to put its value here. So that means this epsilon I plus 1, it will become equal to what? It will become equal to k epsilon I, and it is what? It is 1 over a raised to power 1 by m and epsilon I raised to power 1 by m. So it is what? It is 1 over a raised to power 1 over m, and it is epsilon I raised to power 1 over m. So it is equal to a, sorry, not a, but no, sorry, it is k, not a, it is k, yeah, it is k 1 over a raised to power m, epsilon I and epsilon I 1 over m. And let us call it as, because both are constant, k and 1 over a raised to power 1 over m, it's a constant, so let us recall it as c. So let us recall it as c epsilon I raised to power 1 plus 1 over m. So that means this part is equal to this part. Means a epsilon I raised to power m is equal to c epsilon I 1 over 1 plus m. So when this equation is valid, this equality will hold when a is equal to c and this power is equal to this power. Or I can say that, in other words, that epsilon I raised to power m is equal to c over a epsilon I 1 plus 1 over m. Or I can say that c by a or d epsilon I 1 plus 1 over m. I can say that d is equal to 1 and m is equal to 1 plus 1 over m. So this equality holds if this m is equal to this one, means m is equal to 1 plus 1 over m. Now all of us are familiar with this equation. This is a quadratic equation, right? This is a quadratic equation. So let us try to solve this quadratic equation, and its roots will give us the value of m, and that is the order of convergence. So now m is equal to 1 plus 1 over m. Let us try to solve it here. M is equal to 1 plus 1 over m. It is m is equal to m plus 1 over m, which implies m square is equal to m plus 1, which implies m square minus m minus 1 is equal to 0. And try to find out its root. And its value will be equal to, you can solve using formula minus p plus minus p square minus 4ac under the root upon 2a. You can use that formula. Means m, or if we are having ax square bx plus c is equal to 0, then what is x? Minus p plus minus p square minus 4ac. And all of you are familiar with this. So if I use this, then the value of m which I am getting is equal to what? The m is equal to 1 by 2, 1 plus root 5, one value, and another value is 1 by 2, 1 minus root 5, and it is equal to 1.618, and its value will be equal to minus 0.618. That's what we are getting. Simple. But this is not possible. Negative value is not allowed. So that means, what is the order of convergence? The actual value is 1.618. So this is the order of convergence of Regula-Falsy method. And similarly, you can find out the convergence of secant method, and that is also same, because both are identical, but the difference with the choice of initial points, right? So that's all for this lecture.